Hello, Dr. Linda Barboa. I'm so excited to talk to you this morning.
What a nice thing this morning to get to visit with one of my favorite authors.
Oh, you're one of mine too. I wanted to do this little chit chat with you this morning because today is Giving Tuesday. Giving Tuesday is such a huge event, and it really does help support a lot of nonprofits in local communities and things like that. And as you know from my writings over the years, nonprofits really played such a huge part in my own personal life with the kids, those early childhood years. A lot of nonprofits really gave back to our family, and I fell in love with nonprofits during that time, and they just do such incredible work. And I wanted today to talk about Stars for Autism and what it does for the community, and how all of, you know, how people can encourage, um not encourage, but um can give to Stars for Autism today to help them continue the amazing work that they do for the community. But first of all, I'd like to show everybody. Dr. Linda has wrote several books on autism. We have Autism, What Schools Are Missing, Voices for a New Path. I always share this because people normally don't believe me that I actually got to participate in this book thanks to you. I was like, I couldn't believe that we had Dr. Temple Grandin collaborating in this book, but it's such a good book. Would you mind telling everybody a little bit about this book and what this book does for the community?
Sure, sure. Thanks for having me here today, Shelley. And one of the things I wanted to say a little bit further about the giving and about the philanthropy and the importance of it is for people to really think about the small organizations, because it's much easier for the large organizations, Red Cross or
Right.
organizations, to get funding. They have a lot more avenues than the small organizations. And the small organizations are the ones that really need a little hand up at a time like this. Even based on the fact that it's harder for them to get qualification for grants, etc.
Right.
And it's just really hard for small organizations. And like, for example, when you apply for a grant, one of the things they ask is, well, how many full-time employees do you have? Well, Stars for Autism and STEPS, we have no paid employees. We are volunteers, but that really works against us when it comes to applying for grants or to try to get some good funding. So I really hope that people will really, whether it's STEPS and Stars for Autism or other things, I really hope that they will really think a lot about giving to the small organizations that a lot of people are working really hard as volunteers. Now,
Right.
this book, the one that you're talking about, is one of the newest books from our organizations, and it's a collaboration between STEPS and Stars. And this book is an anthology. And what we tried to do here, Shelley, is we tried to bring together the best advocates, the hardest working advocates from around the world. It's not authors from right here in Springfield, Missouri. We brought people from all around the world, the top autism thinkers and the top advocates, and each person wrote from their own heart in the areas of autism promotion in the schools that is their specialty, or is their main area of focus, or that they feel really strongly about. So we really have some fantastic entries into this. And like you said, Dr. Temple Grandin, Dr. Stephen Mark Shore, Shelley Allen. And you know, I just have to tell your viewers about the first time that I met Shelley. I was working in an autism center, and she was coming in with her children in a wagon, pulling them up a hill in a wagon, determined that she was going to get this in and get this meeting and get something done for her children. And my first thought that day, all those years ago, was, this is the strongest woman I've ever met.
I probably felt like the weakest moment of my life. And you say that, it just makes my heart just melt a little bit when you say that, because you've told that story before.
I don't mean just strong because you're pulling these two children up this hill in a wagon to a meeting that's like 2 blocks away, but like so strong in your heart for wanting to get the best services and trying to make some things happen. So when we wrote our first book together, Shelley Allen, Elizabeth Obrey, Sandy Nicholson, Jan Luck, and me, it was because we wanted to have a book that would show everybody's point of view, a teacher, a special ed teacher, parents, an administrator, and wanted to have a book that wasn't just like one person's ideas, but a lot of people. And so from that jump off point, that's how we realized that doing an anthology or a group of authors is really the way to go. So that's how this book was born. And this is the newest of our books. And basically, when we do a book like this one, we don't just sit down and say, oh, we should write a book about such and such. We listen to our audience. We listen to the people who we talk to every day, and people saying we need such and such. And one of the things we were really hearing is we need books for teachers and administrators and parents on how to work together and how to make the best services for our kids. So we looked into what all the problem areas were, who were the top people around the world to address each of those issues, and one thing I really want to stress, Shelley, on this is all the people who wrote in this book, including Dr. Temple Grandin, no one takes royalties from this book.
Right.
Any money that we make from this book goes to support Stars for Autism and autism charity.
People
So
can purchase this book on Amazon and Walmart now.
Walmart.com. Really, the easiest, best thing to remember is Amazon. Everything's Amazon. So, yes. And this book is published by Kids Infinity Press now. We've changed publishers a couple times just to make it the best for the organizations. So that's pretty exciting that we have such a high quality book with, I even sit down and reread this and I'm just amazed. I'm like, wow, that's a good chapter.
I've referenced it in some of my academic writing as well. Like, let's make sure that we cite this book because it really is about all of the voices. And I think that was a really important thing that you just mentioned. I'm always a huge fan of like this multidisciplinary approach when we're working with anyone, because we're not all one expert in one area. And this is such a spectrum disorder, or diagnosis is really more accurate, a spectrum diagnosis. And we need all of these voices. We need the individuals who are directly impacted. And you mentioned Dr. Temple, but there's other autistics in this book who wrote their ideas as well. And it's just a good, well-rounded piece of information, and that's really important.
Remembering the fact that there are so many children diagnosed with autism right now, and adults, and most of them are being educated in public schools.
Right.
Not all, but the vast majority are being educated in public schools. And when you talk with teachers, who a big topic right now with teachers is teachers leaving the field, especially special
Right,
ed teachers, because they're not getting what they need. And so
right,
this book really addresses that. Like, if we had this book flooding the market out there
right,
for different school districts, it would really alleviate a lot of the problem of teachers burning out, teachers leaving the field, and teachers feeling like they're not being supported.
right.
So,
And having the support of those multidisciplinary um, individuals within the classroom helping support the teachers holistically is just an important aspect to keeping and retaining teachers in the public schools, but they
yeah,
can't do it all themselves. They need
we all tried, all the authors for this book tried really hard to incorporate practical strategies. It's not just all pie in the sky philosophy, it's practical strategies, how we can take some of that pie in the sky idea and really make it happen for us.
right. And that's huge. Can you tell us a little bit about Stars for Autism?
Okay, Stars for Autism is an organization that promotes education about autism to teachers, parents, community members, first responders. We have something for everyone basically, and we do it through written word, which has been huge during the time of the COVID,
Mhm.
and so we basically we try to give away a lot of books, and we try to do a lot of trainings, and now a lot of those now, since COVID, we're not doing so many in-person trainings because those just aren't the practical thing right now.
Right.
But we have them online through Jen Taylor. She does a lot of trainings online, so she's taken it over, and we have put our trainings online through Jen Taylor. She's a great advocate for us.
Can you tell
So
us about that Jen Taylor platform, like what you're speaking of? Like, how do people access that?
yeah, it's just on the web, Jen Taylor, and we basically have two different trainings on her website now, on her platform, that people can access. The first one is just how to be autism friendly. What
Mhm.
does it mean to be autism friendly? And if it's for a single person or for a group, how can you be autism friendly? If you take this short training, it's got everything in it that we used to give, standing there in front of the crowds
In
giving
person.
this training. And then the other training that we have on there for people who would like to learn to be a trainer, it's a train the trainer program. It's like how everything you need to know from start to finish to put on an autism friendly training for any kind of a group. It discusses the difference between how you would do this for a group of first responders, how you would do this for a group of teachers, for a group of parents, for a group of community members, because they all need a little bit of a different angle to keep everybody on the path of what they need. We have done, I was just looking at my chart here. We have given away free over 12,000 books
Wow.
over the years. And we're still at it big, hot and heavy on giving away the books. So that's one thing that we use the funding for. If we get funding for Steps for Autism or for autism, Stars for
Stars for
Autism, Steps,
Autism.
we use that money to promote and to give these books away. And we really very rarely have ever received any money for doing a training. We go in and do the trainings, train city councils. We actually invite like entire cities to come to some of the trainings. And we have never charged for any of those in-person trainings that we've done, or counselings that way that we've done. And like I said, we've given away over 12,000 books. And we still have a lot of plans right now for giving away more books. And can I talk a little bit more about some of the books?
Absolutely, please do.
Okay, one of the big book giveaways that we have coming up right now is this book,
Scared of Santa.
of Santa. And this is, if any of you are familiar with the Raspberry Noodles Adventures, it's a group of kids who are all very different from one another, but their differences are never even mentioned in the series. And the little boy is scared of Santa, and all of his friends use their own special skills to help him overcome the need and his fears. And he gets to go to Santa and receive a toy just like the other children. Now we've gotten some grant money that we are this weekend. We are putting books into a wagon. And we have children dressed as elves, and Jan Luck and I are pulling the wagon in a parade where other people are throwing candy. We're giving books. So we're walking
Oh,
along.
wonderful.
We're walking along the parade route, giving away this book. Granddaughter and her granddaughter, one on each side of the wagon, who are walking from the wagon to the crowd with books to give away. So we'll be giving away a couple $1,000 worth of books about Scared of Santa.
That's great. I'm so excited about that.
That's going to be so fun. It's just like such a great time of the year for us to just absolutely have these books. So then I just wanted to mention, with it being the holidays coming up, wanted to mention this book that we have about for grandparents. And actually it's labeled for grandparents, but it's just as good for aunts, uncles, cousins.
Extended family.
Yeah, family members, because this has a lot of good information in it from brilliant contributors like Shelley Allen. How does this work? When you're going to the grandparents' house for Christmas, or if the grandparents are coming in, what can they expect? What can they do to make this whole experience more pleasant and to understand what's going on? So this is, like, to me, this is
Amazon too.
a great holiday book.
Yes, huge. And also, I might add, as a parent, you get tired of explaining what you need all the time to everybody. So when you go out for the holidays, you don't want to have these really intense conversations. You can just hand the book to your extended family and say, here, can you just read this before we show up with our children? Because I think it'll be helpful.
You know, the other book, and I don't have it at my fingertips. Oh, well, I do. I'm a liar.
She's so honest.
You see, I
yes.
Marked because I refer back to this book all the time. But this book has a great chapter in it written by Shelley about the holidays and about birthdays and Christmases. I love your chapter in this book about the Christmas and about ways to make Christmas work better for the family, so that we don't it's not always in fear of the breakdown or the meltdown. What will these kids really love that will be safe and enjoyable for the whole family? So this is my well-worn copy.
That's kind of where we started all of this adventure, is with that book.
Yeah, this was the beginning of it. That book started it. So I'm trying to think. Another thing that we have going on right now is at Battlefield, Missouri, which was the first autism-friendly city in the state of Missouri to be proclaimed, and has been given a state award for that program. We've been working for 6 years to try to get an inclusionary park. And it goes back to that whole thing of, it's a little town, so we don't have like the tax base of a big city. Once we started this and got the idea for the inclusionary park here, a lot of the other bigger cities and bigger areas around us said, that's a great idea, we'll do that too. They did it, boom, they're up. 6
Mhm.
years later, we're still working on it, still working on it. And Dr. Amy from Cox College, the OT from
Mhm.
Cox College. I would say her last name, but I can't pronounce her new last name, so I'll just say Dr. Amy. She came out with the OT doctoral students and helped us plan what we needed. The city has done great work. It's taken us 6 years to design it
Mhm.
and to get the funding for it. And finally, we finally have it up. And I have some exciting news about it from just this week that it has been named, our new playground, inclusionary playground, has been named a national demonstration project.
Oh, wow, that is new information.
Yep, it's new
Love it.
information, a national demonstration project. And there are very few of them across the country, but other people can get information from us, and we're always glad to work with other groups, whether they're across the country or around the world. We work with
Right.
several from around the world who we've actually become good friends with, such as Stella Waterhouse in England, and
Yes.
um, yeah, and Els in Belgium. And we've actually become good friends with these people because they're all trying to do the same things that we're trying to do. And we've been able to provide them with a lot of materials and a lot of information about this is how we did it.
I love it. I have tears in my eyes. Like it's so important. The work that we've been doing all of these years has it's not only impacted like the local community, but it's set the example of really what does make a more inclusive community. And it's just started the conversation for so much growth. I'm so proud. So proud.
If anybody's interested in doing this for their own city, we do have a book called A Blueprint, How Battlefield Became the First Autism Friendly City in the state of Missouri, a blueprint for that. So, and it tells step by step, I mean, the pros, the cons, the good, the bad, and the ugly, what worked and took us a step forward, what things we worked on and they just were futile and didn't really help, so that other people can do the things that made us successful, but avoid the things that were stumbling blocks for us. Because
Right.
I mean, we're not too proud to tell the bad, the ugly, right?
Right. I mean, that's how we learn. I mean, and it really does take doing something and failing at it before, you really begin to understand what it takes to make something successful. So yeah.
Especially when you're working with all volunteers and you really need the funding from people.
Really need the funding. It's Giving Tuesday, everyone. Give to your local nonprofit.
Yes,
A huge
just the
difference.
small ones, the small ones.
Not the small ones. Yes. The ones that are
And
sharing on their personal feeds today. They're Giving Tuesday fundraisers.
you
And
know,
give to them.
and another thing about the small ones is like a small gift, like whatever someone can do, a small gift might really mean very little to a bigger organization, but a
Right.
small gift means the world to us.
Right. You're like, oh, thank you. Like anything goes a long way. It really does. So don't be intimidated by the small gifts. You are thinking about giving today. If something, especially in this video, has inspired you, like, oh my goodness, I gotta give. Pick one of these smaller local organizations that you can give. Choose Stars for Autism. They're making such a huge impact for families and individuals impacted by autism. It's a huge thing. You're making a huge difference, and that it allows us to do those things like the playgrounds and encouraging others to make those changes in the community that really support um, neurodiversity.
I have to tell one more story on you, Shelley.
Go
Shelley went,
ahead.
we did a collaborative thing between Steps and Stars, and we were giving a training to a church in Kimberling City.
Mhm.
And it just reminded me of it when Shelley was in tears. But
As always.
sometimes Shelley gets emotional and she's in tears. But that day when she was training the church, training the congregation about what each of them can do to make a congregation that's welcoming to all people, she had them all in tears. The whole congregation was crying, partly because of them realizing, oh, I could have done this better back at this point, and partly just for the gratitude of having this information so that they knew where to go and how to help. Because I think a lot of people really want to help, they just need the information.
Right. And that's true. I mean, and it all
All
starts with little
volunteers.
conversations. All the volunteers. Conversations make such an impact. People don't know what they don't know until they know that they don't know it. You have to let them know what they don't know yet. And just having little conversations about this was my experience or this is how it happened for me is such a huge deal in spreading awareness. And it changes the way people respond and how they connect with others that may be different than them in future encounters. And I just think that that's so good. I remember my very first autism in the church training when I was looking for resources for my own family. They just kept saying, oh, this is just it's like a big ship and it's going to take a long time to turn this ship. And there was no solution. So we started Steps Care to give them actual tangible tools so they could move that ship a little faster. And we put together this framework, and you and I worked collaboratively on this book called Steps to Forming Disability Ministry. And we've been in over 500 churches, all different denominations, talking to them about how to develop supports for families when they come through the doors of whatever, church, synagogue, mosque, whatever, that they provide, this support. It's really about just being there to accept and to say, you know what, if you need something, I'm here to help however I can. And that's really where the conversation just leads. And specifics on how to do that is all in the book and the work that we've done in our training throughout the years. And I still use the autism friendly training for churches because it's just so helpful. I did the train the trainer a while back ago so I could make sure I could train others. And so we use that to train churches to better understand autism, because autism seems to be popping up in congregations everywhere. And they're just like, I don't know what to do. Like, well, here, you need to take this training.
In so many and such a variety of places. Like I was so impressed when you were invited to come and speak to the Amish group,
Oh, yes.
and the challenge that was for you because you couldn't use any electronics or even pictures, right?
Right. No
And
pictures.
and yet did such a great job reaching out and meeting these people at their point of need that they invited her back. I'm like, because that's like huge.
It was huge. It was such a gift to be able to be in their community, because it's such, a small community, and they have differences that I had not been exposed to in my lifetime. And it was so interesting. And I learned from them as much as I think that they learned from me in that particular setting. It was such a gift to be there. I was glad I got to go. I think there was an article you wrote in one of the magazines that talked about that. I have it in one of my files. I'll have to pull it out. As you brought it to my memory, I'll reminisce over that article.
Well, Shelley and I have, like I said, we try to listen to our community and our audience about what is needed, and then we if we can, then we'll sit down and try to either put together a book or bring together a group of people who can address that need. And I know we've talked about a few books, but we basically have books for every different need and every different population. Now, altogether, we have on Amazon, I think, over 30. Yeah, books for teachers,
Yes,
books for beauticians, books for restaurant workers, each different. Yeah.
training. And then I also have this one. You and Jan worked on this one, and I I love that the teacher in here is Miss Shelley. Where is it?
Yeah, that's the Sunday school teacher in the book, Miss
Yeah,
Shelley.
Miss
Now, I
Shelley.
wonder who that is.
Oh, this is such a fun book, and Albert is such a beloved character, and you guys have done so much with Albert over the years, reaching younger audiences, but I think adults are just as impacted by Albert as the children are. Albert is such a great character and brings so much information in such a simple way, and that's really so helpful. So I love using that one as well.
Basically, like whatever is your area that you need, if you need to look at the workplace or the restaurants or churches or teachers, churches, whatever is the area that you are feeling that you need some information, there's a book for that.
There's a book for it. And it's probably got Dr. Linda's name on it.
And like I said, our autism books are largely fundraisers for Stars for Autism and for STEPS. We do have a few things that are different, like a book that we have that's a fundraiser for St. Jude. And then we have a book that's a fundraiser for Dogs Nation, which that has a lot to do with autism also.
Right.
About service dogs.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we've got about 5 minutes. I want to make sure.
Where did that time go?
I know. I could probably talk longer than that, but they've got us on a timer. Where can people go today to donate? Do you know that answer? Do you want me to set it up on Facebook?
Wonderful.
I got it. So today, if you want, if you would like to donate to Stars for Autism, go to our Facebook page. It's facebook.com/Stars for Autism. And there will be a donation place there. If you don't see it immediately, go through the news feed. I'll pin it to the top of our news feed for today, where you can donate any dollar amount, and it'll go to Stars for Autism to further our mission in seeing more communities become autism friendly. So that's going to be cool. Thank you so much for sharing all this information today, Dr. Linda. We're so excited to have you here today.
Thank you for being such a great advocate and a techie.
I am the techie, and I feel so proud that I've been dubbed techie for this group, because it is so much fun. I enjoy providing what little expertise I have.
Well, we love your audience. We love the people who have the heart to be listening to the podcast and helping us out today. And thank you so much, Shelley.
Oh, thank you. We'll talk soon. Have a great day.
Oh, no, you taught me that.
There you go. Bye-bye.